All right.
Boom.
Happy Monday.
We're live. Happy Monday. What do we have in the agenda for today?
So today we are going to do a postmortem on a launch we just concluded, and
Yep.
we're also gonna just talk a couple other marketing tactics.
Any teasers in terms of the tactics that you have for today?
So I did a cohort analysis on the customers I've sold, and
Mm,
there's some mind-blowing stats. Actually, like mind-blowing. It's I've taken several actions because of it.
mm.
So I'm very excited to share that. And then let's see, I've got another one or two that I'll hit quickly that'll be really tactical as well. How
Cool. I
about you?
have two. I have two around lead magnets, both of them. One of them is around personalization. I do think now with AI, there's like a lot of very interesting things that you can do from a personalization perspective in a very efficient way. And like there's a video from a guy that I just saw over the weekend that has like a very interesting, like almost like a case study of this. And then the other one was just some, I feel like repurposing when it comes to lead magnets is kind of underrated. And so I have a few pro tips that I shared with a client this past week that I wanted to open source as well.
I love it. Well, let's dive in. Let's start with
Cool.
the launch, shall we?
Yeah. Well, high level. So we had what I think it was 104 units that we sold of the challenge.
105.
105. Yep. So, and then for context for people listening too, the previous episode, we actually planned that this entire launch that we're talking about, kind of not live, but like we recorded our entire planning session as a podcast. So if you're curious, kind of what went into that, you could check that out. But yeah, so 105 units. Should we before we kind of go through the stats? Should we do like a quick TLDR of what that was?
Yeah, absolutely. So the offer was Stack 30 is what we called it, and it was basically a 30-day Substack posting challenge where we were going to get a group of people, we're going to arm them with templates and AI skills and prompts and ideas for what they could post, and then a community where we hold each other accountable. We all post in there every single day, publishing on Substack. We're engaging with each other. That was kind of the high level there. Price point was $99, and we also had an order bump, which is a note repurposing masterclass. So take a Substack note, turn it into a tweet, turn it into a LinkedIn post, turn it into an email, and each of those came with education and with its own Claude skill. I think that's everything high level. Anything I missed there, Daniel?
No, I think you nailed it. Um, and maybe last thing there is like the reason why we decided to launch this and experiment with it was because we see a lot of potential in Substack as a distribution engine and like as a platform for like just like a social platform more so than a newsletter platform. And so we wanted to double down on it, and this was kind of a way to force ourselves to do it with more people.
Yeah. So we get the benefit of we're doubling down on it. We have people that are engaging with us. And who knows what this could turn into on the back end. Like maybe we do another version and
Mhm.
we add some stuff to the value to the offer stack and charge more as well.
Yep. Cool. Well, let's dig into the results then. So, again, 105 units. Funnily enough, our goal, I think we were debating kind of our goal during the previous episode, and we both said that we would be pretty happy hitting 100, and we hit it, and then got some plus some change. But curious, like after the launch, yeah, how you feeling about the number?
Yeah, I feel good about it. So for full context, 105 sales is what we got. 31 people took us up on the $49 order bump, which led to $11,963 in sales. Um, Overall, I feel good. I was really happy to hit 100. We were talking about maybe capping it at 100, and if we had, I bet we would have sold out earlier.
Yeah.
But I'm pretty happy with how we handled everything. I'm glad we did the expiring bonus, which I'm sure we'll dig into.
Yep.
Um, yeah, overall, really happy with everything.
Same, and I came to the same conclusion. I thought, um, had we kept it, I think we would have probably sold out sooner. And like that would have required a little bit less effort, but there's always a risk, right? Of like What if we sold more? And we would have kind of limited that upside there.
Yes. There's so many hypotheticals with these. Like, I could ask the question, what if instead of $99, we did 199?
Mhm.
Maybe we sell the exact same amount. Like,
Yeah.
maybe the perceived value is higher and we sell the same or even more, and we could have doubled the revenue. But you can't know, and you can torture yourself with that question.
Yeah, it would be nice to somehow do like some kind of like A/B test around these launches. But yeah, I think, as you said, it's kind of hard to like run those different scenarios in parallel, at least.
Yeah. So tell me what was our kind of marketing plan here?
Yep.
What went well, and then maybe after that we could dig into anything that we could improve as well.
Yeah. It was very simple, to be honest. High level was we sent a few emails before opening the cart, just inviting people to join the waitlist. Most of those were either like some kind of educational email and then a CTA, or a direct email just announcing the waitlist and inviting people and nudging people to join the waitlist. Then once the cart was open, which happened on a Monday, we started sending daily launch emails that happened Monday through Friday. So we sent 5 launch emails. And then almost every day, I think, in the afternoon or early evening, we would send an additional email to a specific segment of people who were our clickers and waitlisters. Essentially, anyone who joined the waitlist and or had clicked on our sales pitch without buying already, we would send them like essentially like retargeting emails, if you will. And then I think the only additional thing that we did on top of that was we did a LinkedIn giveaway, like a lead magnet that we launched on LinkedIn, which inside of it had kind of a call to action for people to check out the challenge.
Yeah, and that LinkedIn giveaway was about Substack as well, and so it
Hmm.
was there was a very clear alignment to the offer.
Hmm.
As far as sales go, so I think day one we hit something like 25. Day two we hit something like 40. Day three, that's when we did an expiring bonus, which we decided to do last second. Um, I'll just say the result and then we could talk about it. So
Yep,
we went from 40 to, I believe, 70. Was it 80 actually? It was
I
either
think it was 80.
75 or 80.
Yep.
Yeah. So we basically doubled the first 2 days by doing an expiring bonus. Thursday was exceptionally slow. I think we sold like 3 people.
Yeah.
And then Friday was the final day, and we went from whatever 83 to 105.
Yep.
So 22 people.
Mhm.
So that's how the split worked. Would you say, in your experience, is that pretty typical of a launch?
It's actually atypical, and most, not just for me, but for most people too. Like typically, there's like two big spikes at the beginning and at the end. Once you announce the product at the beginning, and then once you're closing the card, and people feel that like last minute urgency. And there's usually a little bit of a dip throughout those kind of few days in the middle. Interestingly, we had the expiring bonus, which we have experimented with before, and it's always given us a boost. I think this is actually a
Never
little.
that big though, right? This was
Yeah.
a massive boost.
I wonder why. So that's something that we could dig into. The one thing that I'll say is that this expiring bonus tactic, I've used it before with PGA and ship theory, but we typically do something slightly different, which is at the very beginning of the launch, we announce what the expiring bonuses throughout are gonna be, whereas ours was kind of impromptu. It's like, this is the offer. We just sell the offer for 2 days, and then on day three, out of the blue, we send this email letting people know that there's this special thing. And for whatever reason, I feel like the impromptu approach works way better because it almost feels like a flash sale.
Hmm. Yeah, I think that makes sense. So it was a live workshop of us basically running through how to repurpose from Substack to other platforms. That's what we're going to be doing, and it's accessible to everybody who bought before Wednesday at midnight.
Yep.
And so that's what got a lot of people to move forward, I guess.
Yeah.
Thursday that wasn't surprising that it was slow.
Yeah.
We did do the giveaway that day, so maybe that contributed to some of the Friday sales.
Mhm.
It's hard to say exactly.
Yeah.
And then Friday, I was happy with how it performed,
Yeah.
considering we'd pulled a lot of that demand forward.
Yeah. Me too. Do you have any thoughts around why you think this specific expiring bonus performs so well? Because to your point, I think we've done it before, but it's never been such a big boost.
Um, I think like one thing is it was super aligned with the offer,
Yeah.
so it was desirable, like what we're giving away. Um, I think what you mentioned about it being a flash sale, it was like
Mm.
we decided Tuesday night, and we
Mhm.
basically changed our emails for Wednesday to, and we only focused on that instead of making it a little PS statement. We
Yeah.
like made it the main message of the day. I
Mhm.
think that made a big difference too.
I agree. I also think, and again, this wasn't necessarily something that we planned, but I think the rollout was like it was kind of in the sweet spot where enough people had read about the offer already because it was Wednesday. Like it was on the third day rather than like the first one or the second. And so we had like given people enough time to like, okay, click a few times on the sales page, maybe read the sales page a little bit. And then by the time we rolled that out on Wednesday, like the people who knew wanted to join were already kind of getting that offer, if that makes sense.
Yes. I think, by the way, we had something like, was it close to 1,000 I think it was around 1,000 waitlisters, right?
Yeah. Hmm.
Yeah. So that was the week before, just from kind of promoting it in some of our emails and having one or two dedicated emails promoting it.
Hmm.
We had a big wait list. I'm sure that helped as well.
100%. Like actually, if we were to like almost like unbundle the things that we did well that would be worth repeating and also we would recommend other people. I do think the waitlist is one of those big ones because just creates so much anticipation, right? Like the reason why we had all those sales on the first day was because there were people who were ready to like just get the rest of the information and secure their spot, and that only happened because we started to build hype beforehand, you know.
I do find it interesting that on day two, we almost matched day one. Not quite, but um, I feel like that's a little bit unusual. And I wonder if our emails that on those days were just like really solid.
That's true. Yeah, I think it would be interesting to check the email analytics and see what, you know, like which emails had. I bet the Tuesday emails, at least from one of us, had a like you know, outlier click through rate or open rate.
Yeah. Yeah. Super interesting. Anything else with the launch that's worth discussing?
Yeah, so
Um,
we
I
had. Go ahead.
I'd love to dig into maybe some potential upgrades, but anything that we did that's worth discussing first.
I have one more. So we mentioned the waitlist. We mentioned the expiring bonus. There's one more that I actually missed doing that we did, and I think I don't know how much it contributed to be honest, but it felt nice, which was the day of the launch. I made a Substack or published a Substack note saying, "Hey, we're launching this. Enrollment is officially open." And then every day, sometimes multiple times per day, I would quote retweet or however you call it on Substack. I think it's restack
Restack,
or
yeah.
yeah, the original note, and then the kind of the caption on top of the like within the quote retweet was the number of people who had secured their spot. And so every day you would see me reposting the thing saying 20 people have joined, 30 people have joined, 50 people have joined. And again, I'm not sure how much that contributed to making new sales, but I did like kind of that social proof going out live every single day.
Yeah, I think so as well. And I think with a challenge like this, where it's on social media,
Hmm.
and this is kind of digging into things that we could do better. Um, we could have the onboarding email basically say, maybe you get some extra bonus if you go in and
Share it.
you post a Substack note saying that you just joined Stack
Yep.
30. That would help a lot with social proof.
Hmm.
Um, that's one big thing. Did you like that we did a 5-day window?
Okay, that's a great point. Yeah, I did like it. I feel like in the past we've done like 7 days, and it feels almost the same. I'm starting to feel more and more like 7 days can drag on for a bit, and I really like the 5 day cadence.
Yeah. I like the 3-day or the 5-day. That's what I've really enjoyed lately.
Yeah.
Any other upgrades, um,
Well,
outside of maybe a little bit better with social proof?
yeah. Speaking of, I mean, this is kind of a variation of what you just said, but like just to crystallize it, the one you said was essentially encouraging and incentivizing people to like post publicly that they had joined the challenge. I think the other way to go about it would be um earlier, because I think we still have time to do this and I would like to do it, but like I want to send a survey to everyone on the challenge and ask them for your Substack kind of profile URL so we can have like a directory or something along those lines.
Mm,
But in addition to that, had we had that data earlier or sooner, we could have done like a public post tagging all of those people who had joined by the time we made that post. And I think that
mm,
could also be great because it's like you, and I think the way I shared with you initially was like you can make a thread, right? Where you have one note and then you keep replying to that note or that tweet, and you
keeps
tag,
resurfacing it.
yeah. So something along those lines I think could have been nice too.
Mm, yeah. So social proof, something that we could have done better. I think we did a great job with the wait list. I think the launch window was good. I think the
Hmm.
expiring bonus was great.
Hmm.
Um, I think playing with the offer and the price point is probably the next like most interesting thing,
Lever, yeah.
but I can't think of any like big things that we're missing in terms of marketing it.
Yeah, I think if anything on the email front, maybe a little bit of a more like orchestrated, like count, like pre-launch sequence could have been potentially helpful. Just because I think there's still some people who don't really understand the opportunity of like Substack, and so just more education around that I think could have been helpful. Um, and then, honestly, I don't know how much of a difference this would have made, but like typically for a launch like this, we, in addition to the morning emails and the afternoon emails, we also include abandoned cart emails just for like the
Yeah.
very engaged people. So that could have been an upgrade too.
Yeah. Well, maybe we do that for the next one,
Yep,
but
we'll see.
I think we run this, we see how it goes, and if it goes well, maybe we do this again in a couple months, and change a couple things about it.
Yeah, I think that would be good. And I'm excited to kind of,
You know what? I actually
yeah,
had one more thing that
go
just
for it.
came to mind, which is halfway through the challenge, I opened up PayPal as well as Stripe as a
Mm,
secondary
yep,
platform, and I was surprised to see over the next couple of days, like a lot of people chose PayPal. And
yep.
so just having more options for payments for people, I think actually increases sales.
Yeah, and I mean, for this specific price point, it didn't really make sense. But like, if you sell something more expensive, um, having payment plans near the end of the launch also helps big time. Yeah,
Yes.
cool.
Awesome.
Well,
Anything else there, or should we move to
no,
the tactics?
let's jump into some other shiny tactics. What do you got?
All right. Um, so I'll start with that one that I kind of teased about, the cohort analysis, which sounds like the
Mhm,
most boring thing ever. Basically, basically what that means is I looked at all of the customers that I've ever sold for my ghostwriting agency, and I wanted to figure out like where are these outliers coming from? The ones who stay forever and pay me unlimited amounts of money versus the ones who like are a
sure.
nightmare to deal with
Yeah.
and last for 2 months. And the so how I did it was I just looked at everyone who when we started they were already doing north of $1 million a year versus the people when we started were doing south. Because I do have some clients that started at like 30K a month. Now they're doing 300 a month and they're great clients. But I just wanted to look at when they started. And so the stats on that were just like, of course, you expect the better clients that are doing north of 1 million a year to have a little bit better lifetime value. But it was about 4 times the lifetime value of the sub $1 million clients, 4 times. Um, The like churn was also like yeah, like as it makes sense was about 4 times difference. Like the clients who were sub a million, they just come and go like nothing, and then the ones who were north, in general, just stayed 4 times longer.
Wow.
You could imagine how much less stressful of a business and how much better of a business if your clients just stayed 4 times as long.
Mhm.
They're okay paying higher prices. Like it just makes a dramatic difference. So
Yep.
what did I do? I fired a client today, so
Let's go.
that was a big move. Who was the under? I'm telling you, this is the most interesting thing. I'll get super rich people that have like this guy in particular. He's got $100 million a year business, but he came because he's starting a coaching business. Like his other business is completely separate and he's like kind of stepped away. Now, like out of a passion project, he wants to start this coaching business, but he's starting from ground zero. And so every like dollar he's putting into it is his own personal money and the business isn't driving revenue. And so for him it's like way more painful to give me his personal dollars than, a business that's producing a lot of revenue. Anyway, I decided to let that client go. It was very amicable. And going forward, I'm only selling the $1 million plus businesses.
Very interesting data. This is something that I'm actively thinking through right now, and it's helpful and it's a great reminder. I think it's interesting, right? Like a lot of people talk about this idea of like just sell. The easiest or fastest way to get rich is to sell to rich people. And I feel like it's kind of easy to overlook and just take it for granted, but it's true. What I was gonna ask though is, do you find, just to play devil's
And this
advocate
guy was
first?
rich, by the way. It's just his new business wasn't rich.
True, fair. I think my question though is, so on paper, it takes the same amount of effort to close a client who will stay 2 months versus a client who will stay on for 2 years. On paper, have you found that to be true, or do you think those clients who are worth more and also have more resources to invest into your services are harder to close and get as clients? Or yeah, I guess, have you seen any differences there?
Yeah. My like gut take is that they actually are a little bit harder to close.
Okay.
And that's usually because they see things correctly. They know that this isn't a short-term solution to save their business. They know they're playing the long game. They want to win long term
Mhm.
and they're looking for a legitimate partner. So for that reason, I think they are harder to close. But the first 2 months with them, like the first 2 months with an agency, those are the hardest months because you're getting a client up to speed. And whether you're doing that for a smaller business or a larger business, like it's going to be hard regardless. And it's much better to not have to start over again.
Yeah. One last one there, just, and this is like I'm selfishly asking, is there, okay, so you do think it's objectively a little bit harder to close those people. Is there any specific examples of things that you have found are or make that process harder?
I'm not sure, like, what would
Like,
make that.
yeah, for example, we have two, person A and person B. Person A is doing less than 1 million. Person B is doing more than 1 million. So technically, or based on what we're talking about, this second person would be a better fit, but they would also be likely harder to close. Like, are there any tangible things that
Hmm,
would probably make that person harder to close? Like, for example, do they need more case studies, or do they need
hmm,
to be sold with a pitch deck? Like specific things like that that you have
yeah.
found. Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. I'm thinking about a couple of recent calls I had with like some quote perfect prospects,
Mhm.
and all of them have gone and had like they're committed to basically turning LinkedIn into a marketing channel, and they go and they get calls with 5 different vendors. And so they're way more competitive. They're not price shopping necessarily, but they're value shopping. They're seeing where they could get the best results. And with some of those other people, they've been like super sold on working with me because they think I could save their business. So that's that's like a big difference, I feel like.
Okay, that's interesting. Yeah. Okay, I mean that's already like a pretty big difference because the way you show up to the call and like you educate them on what you do like probably changes a lot based on that little nuance.
Yeah, and I'll say on the back end of a client call or a sales call with someone who's negotiating with a bunch of different vendors, you treat the sales process differently. I always try to set up a follow up call, and like instead of just making it a quote follow up call, I have some type of value add. Like I'm going to create a hyper custom strategy with like a month long content calendar of what the first month would look like of working together, and like I go the extra mile there, whereas for some of those other clients, I wouldn't go the extra mile
Mm. Do
in
do they
terms of preparation.
typically beforehand like once you know they're having a call with them?
Right. Like, if I feel like I need to win the business, then I'll do more work during that sales process.
Okay, that makes sense. Um, well, I mean as I said, that's top of mind for me, and I think the takeaway is clear.
Yeah.
Go after the people
I mean,
who.
we've offline, you and I have had some conversations about this, right? And
Yeah.
like you have one client in particular who has been the best to work with, pays you the most, is like super happy. And then you have the other clients that are like absolute hassles, right?
Yes. And there's like a direct
It's
correlation. It's funny, but it's true. The meme is true. Like the client that pays you the most money and stays the longest is usually the most chill one, who also is like the best to work with.
amen.
All right. Well, I have some lead magnet tactics for you. Want me to share some of those?
Yeah.
Cool. So the first one is this idea of like hyper personalized lead magnets. I think this is also something we've talked about offline, but essentially the idea is like up until AI or before AI had gotten so good, like the closest thing to a personalized lead magnet was something like a quiz funnel, where obviously no shame on quiz funnels, they're great, but like it's like even that level of personalization is like very boilerplate, right? Like you fill out a survey, and then based on your responses you fall into an archetype, and then you kind of get some more relevant but still like pretty fine um answers or education to your, based on kind of the problems or the things that you're struggling with. And again, that's great, but now the technology has gotten so good that there I feel like there's way more levels to unlock. And so over the weekend
Yes.
I was just watching this video from a guy. He has a great YouTube channel. um I forget his name. I forget his name. I think it's Matthew something, funnily enough. But basically he offers CRO as a service. He has like a CRO agency and helps people increase their conversion rate by doing conversion rate optimization. Um, and so he built, based on Hormozzi's kind of lead magnet framework, which Hormozzi I think calls the is it the you're a Hormozzi fan, so
The
you might know.
scaling roadmap.
No, well, that's his lead magnet, but like the framework behind that is the salty pretzel. Have you heard of this idea of the salty pretzel?
I don't think so.
Basically, he says that it's just an analogy for like the job that your lead magnet should fulfill in your funnel or your business, which is if you're trying to sell water, for example, uh, it's much easier to sell your water if you first give people something that makes them thirsty, like a pretzel, like a salty pretzel. And so that's kind of the role, or the job or the functionality that the objective that your lead magnet should accomplish, such that your main thing is easier to sell afterwards. Um, anyway, this guy, based on that framework and based on kind of what Hormozy has done, he took it up another level, and he built, using Claude and a couple different tools, he built a tool where it's basically a landing page. You literally just drop your sales page URL on the form plus your email address, and 5 minutes later, you receive a custom CRO audit that flags all the problems on your sales page. And then at the end, it has a CTA to book a call, and then you can jump on a call with him, and then he pitches you on his services. Super cool.
Love it.
Um, and he just got my wheels spinning, because he's like, sure, it's gonna take you a few hours probably to set up something like this, but like that's what I would have taken you to do one audit for one person in the past. And so I just think there's like a lot of potential and a lot of opportunity in these kind of funnels, and I haven't seen a lot of these yet.
Yeah, it's a great point. And I remember the first time I saw something like this was about 2 years ago, where somebody was piecing together, they're using make.com and a bunch of calls, and they used
Mhm,
a ChatGPT model,
mhm,
and they were basically coming up with I think it was a cold email service, and they did like we'll basically give you this 20-page Google Doc that has
mm,
scripts for your ICP. It'll tell you all of the different domains that you can get, all the stuff you have to for email, all in one document, and it was completely automated with AI. And I think they delayed it for an hour so it didn't look like it was automated.
mhm,
But now, and like you and I even maybe a year ago discussed, oh, what would it look like to have somebody submit something and you have an entire welcome sequence that they get as a lead magnet, and then
mhm.
you upsell them on other sequences. And the truth is the technology keeps advancing, and so it's getting easier and easier to do stuff like that. But a lot of people still aren't, and so yeah, I think there's a ton of opportunity right now for these basically done for you service lead magnets that are completely fulfilled with AI.
Yeah, I agree. I've been trying, like it's not quite there yet, but I've done a few variations or experimented with a few similar variations. Um, but it's still I haven't gotten to the point where it's completely automated and like completely fulfilled by AI. I think that would be fucking awesome.
Yeah,
um, but I haven't gotten there yet.
yeah. Um, well, it would be a fun weekend project, and I bet there's some narrow problem that you and I could solve for our customers completely with AI.
Mhm.
Um, so it definitely would be worth our time. It's just a matter of making time for it.
Yeah, and yeah, prioritizing other things. But yeah, I agree. At some point this year, that should be on the list.
That and the 6 hour free YouTube video.
Which, by the way, Caleb's, we've talked about his specific free course in the past in previous episodes, but his course he just crossed 1 million views, which is wild.
Oh, cool.
Um, but yeah, anyway, but yeah, that should also be on the list for later in the year.
Hmm. Yeah, that's really interesting. I do wonder. It seems like Caleb's got the credibility, and some of the other people I've seen, Hormozy, Cole Gordon, like some of the guys in AI who've done this, seems like they all kind of have the credibility to pull it off. Like I wonder if say Cole Gordon's is about sales, right, and closing. If I did it on sales and closing, like I don't have that much experience, you know what I mean?
Well, but
Um,
you do
I
have it,
think
like,
that authority has a huge role
for
there. It's
sure.
not just
Yeah,
the format.
for sure. I think you need to know your stuff. You need to know what you're talking about. You need to have experience and receipts. And but I mean, you could do the 6 hour course and like how to build a LinkedIn personal brand and get leads and revenue from it.
Sure. Yeah, agreed. I'm just a little bit like maybe it's because I just fired this client today, but because they built this $100 million business, they think that their insights are like top 0.001%. And the truth is there's a lot of people that are saying the same things as them. And like, it doesn't stand out that much, even though like they're pretty legit. Um, it's competitive. That's what I'm saying. It's competitive to try and get people's attention.
No, for sure. And that's where packaging comes in, and like those like little spiky points of view and like how do you package and communicate your ideas. But I agree though.
Yeah. Did you have a second lead magnet tactic?
Yeah, sure. Let's combine them and then we can move on to the next topic. So the next one was, so I had a client. We built an email course funnel for him, which is essentially a lead magnet. Um, Whenever we build this type of funnels for clients, we also help them launch the lead magnet on social media, typically on LinkedIn as a giveaway, just to give them or help them get kind of that first wave of email subscribers right away. And so we did that with this client. He got over 400. He's sitting at over 400 subscribers at the moment, even though he has a very or relatively small LinkedIn audience. So that's cool. But naturally, like a few days later, he was like, dude, this is awesome. I have 400 subscribers, but now what? Like, how do I keep the momentum going?
Mhm.
And so I shared a few kind of very actionable tactics for him to like keep driving traffic to the email course without necessarily having to do a ton of additional work. And so the first one was, so this specific lead magnet, I think it's kind of it lends itself pretty good to do this kind of thing. But I think you can find ways to do it with other formats as well. But essentially, I told him the first thing you should do is take each of the lessons from the email course. It has 5 lessons because it's 5 days, and each of those lessons should be a standalone LinkedIn post. So that's the very first thing.
Mhm.
Each of those emails could be repurposed as a LinkedIn post in and of itself. The second thing is this specific lead magnet was very like meaty, and we actually included a handful of bonus resources throughout, like a cheat sheet, or there was like a case study that had a loom and a walkthrough, and like those additional resources I told him could also be like their own lead magnets, and you could also
Mm.
do new giveaways around those specific assets, and then you use those giveaways to drive people to the main thing, which is the email course. So that was the second one. And this is the third one. This is one that we've talked about, but I don't really see a lot of people do this, which is why I wanted to share it, which is essentially launch the lead magnet again in a few months. If the lead magnet worked as a giveaway, there is absolutely no reason why you shouldn't just refresh the LinkedIn copy and maybe come up with a new image and just launch it again as if it was a new thing. Because the reality is that most people either didn't see it or they forgot that it was a thing, and so um, that's just a dope opportunity that I don't see a lot of people kind of taking advantage of.
Yeah, I love it. I've also taken lead magnets that I launched 10 months ago and
Mhm.
literally copied and pasted the entire thing, no changes whatsoever, and it did
Mhm.
great. And
Yeah,
so if it's been a very long time, you might not even need to refresh your social copy.
true,
Um,
true.
I think that's those are great points. How important do you think, because you and I will often create new lead magnets because they tend to perform better, versus just driving traffic to like one evergreen lead magnet.
Mhm. Yep.
I know your friends at PGA will often do one lead magnet that they'll really focus on. What are your thoughts on continuously creating new ones versus pushing traffic to one? What are the
Yeah,
pros and cons of each?
I think you need both. I like I've actually come up with a little framework. I call them pillar versus one-off lead magnets. The pillar one is the one that's like more polished, it's more comprehensive, but it's also like more strategic and like intentionally designed to like drive conversions. The problem, as you said, is when you promote the same lead magnet over and over again every day, like people get bored and they tune out. And so that's where the other type, which I call the one-off lead magnet, that's where those come in, and like those just the primary, obviously you can also use them to like drive conversions and whatnot, but I think the primary goal with those is to just create variety and keep growing the list without kind of fatiguing the same CTA.
Mm. Yeah, it's a great point. On that note, I actually think you can apply the same idea to your regular calls to action
Mm.
in terms of conversion like
Yeah.
mechanisms.
Yep.
So, something that I've done is historically I just had click here to book a call, but then I tried switching to applications and I got like a ton of people who applied. And then I did, a one-off, like 1 week of content plus some other done for you stuff, and I got a bunch of people who bought. And if I were to do like a webinar, like I'm sure I'd get a bunch of people that were interested. And so switching your call to action, I think, is another form of this novelty that gets people to move forward.
That's a great call out, and yeah, we've seen that over and over again of people like novelty. Uh, like, and that applies to everything, but like it also applies to call to actions. And so, if you have a call to action that's not performing anymore, chances are you just need to mix it up, and that usually solves the problem. Um, so yeah, great call out. I agree.
Hmm. Cool. I'll jump into a couple of these will be kind of quick ones.
Rapid fire.
Let me
We
share
don't
my
have.
screen.
Do we have any gray hat today?
Oh, let's see. Any gray hat? Mm,
It's okay
I
if
don't
not.
think so.
I was just curious
I
because I
think it's
enjoy
all
those.
white hat. I think it's all white hat today. Um, Okay, so this is just a great pro tip for everybody on X, LinkedIn, Substack, these like text first platforms.
Mm.
People usually don't have their volume on those feeds. And so if you add captions to your videos, they will perform better. This is something I didn't think about until I saw this tweet from Nikita Beer, and now I am having my team apply this to all videos. Um, just like an easy tactical upgrade right there.
I love it. Real quick on that one, I've seen actually a few people. Not enough that it's a pattern, but also enough that I thought was interesting and like there was like a pattern too, like not a big pattern, I guess, but like I'm seeing some data, and I've seen some people on LinkedIn use like static images of something that looks like a conversation, almost like a podcast, where it's like the image has two layers. So one frame is like one person, the other frame is the other person. They're talking to each other in an image, but then you have the captions, and so that felt like a very interesting like media format that caught my attention, and it felt. Have you seen those um
This was
like
a picture, it wasn't a video.
it was a picture, so it felt almost like those memes that are like scenes from a movie, and they have like the dialogue. It felt like that, and it felt like, oh, interesting. Like it kind of felt nice and
Like
refreshing.
cartoons almost?
Well, the funny thing is that it was like the actual. It almost like a screenshot or a frame from the video, but it's static because it's an image. But then it has the caption from the conversation, and it feels like a
Interesting.
cartoon, but it's real life.
Okay. Yeah, I think that's pretty interesting. Different media formats keep popping up and they
Yep,
perform great for a little while.
it's a great way.
Yeah, second one was I talked about this a couple weeks ago, but that kind of Hormozy breakdown of what's working in marketing.
Mhm.
There's two things that keep coming back to me and like that I keep thinking about. So I want to share those. First, create a self-licking ice cream cone. That's what he calls it.
Mhm.
Where in his case, he goes and he does his workshops, which he gets 100 people that pay 5 grand, and then he has his upsells on the back end. But his team is creating content there. He is going and he's presenting and he's answering a ton of questions. All of that turns into tons of YouTube videos, Instagram reels, etc. And so it's this self-licking ice cream cone where that promotes his business
Mm.
and it also generates revenue. In our case, I think that's what this podcast is. It's like
Mhm.
we show up, we chat about business and marketing, and it's fun.
Mhm.
And we also get a ton of content ideas from the transcript, and we can also leverage the videos, which I've only done once so far, but like it's something that I think we could both leverage a lot better.
Totally.
And it helps us market ourselves. It helps us repurpose more content and ultimately drive more revenue.
I love that one. I think that even though I agree that this podcast is a great example, I also I mean, he's taking it to the next level by doing something that he's getting paid for, which is
Yeah.
the event, and then he turns that into free content, which then gets the flywheel going.
Yeah. Um, and maybe there's a way that we could do something like that as well with maybe we take a client with a slight discount or something
Mhm.
as long as we can share their case study publicly like as we're building it out or something along those lines.
Yeah, that's a great idea.
Anyway, pretty interesting. And then the second is this saves as the North Star. He basically is saying views don't matter nearly as much. His Hormozy Highlights YouTube channel is getting way fewer views than his main channel, but he's converting more people from the highlights channel. And it's because it's super specific. He'll create, a 5 minute video that's just for HVAC and a 5 minute video that's just for agency owners. Anyway, I just think this is something as I'm creating content, I just keep coming back to make
Well,
saves the North Star. Just think about saves.
that's very interesting. It's not the first time that I hear that, but it's I think and I think George Mack talks about this of like hidden metrics of like sometimes the most important metrics, at least when it comes to death, or not, yeah, like the death of the relationship that you're building with people, is are not things that are like easily accessible, like views or likes. And so I'm curious if you found like, or you have experimented with some kind of like custom dashboard where you're just tracking the number of saves that each post that you make gets.
I'm not doing that at the moment. A lot of these social, like X or LinkedIn, they don't like AI tools scraping them.
Yeah.
So so there's like some issues there. So it might need to be manual. But I do think that would be interesting, and at least when you're downloading the data once a month, like worth looking at.
Yeah, I mean, like I personally, not every week, but most weeks, I have my content assistant help me with like a weekly recap and review of the content that we publish on LinkedIn over the week. And like we just try to analyze and identify which posts perform best. But I'm currently just going off of likes and impressions. I'm not looking at saves. And so we could just
Yeah.
easily incorporate that, you know?
Yeah. And one tactical thing when it comes to saves that he mentioned was the best way to, because if you're looking at the number of saves, then views matter because um like you need more views to get more saves. You,
Yep.
you can't have 10 saves if you have 5 views.
Yep.
And so the way he says to do it is you create a wide and compelling hook that applies to everybody, but then you go and deliver value that's super specific to your customer. And so I
Interesting.
thought that was a good little nugget there as well.
I like that.
Cool. Those are like the quick fire uh tips that I had.
I love it. There were like three or four good ones there. So thank you for sharing this. I'm excited to implement some of this stuff now.
Yeah, absolutely. Um Last thing that I have, and then I'll let you close out if you have anything, is there's a ton of AI fear, and
Mm,
um, it's been very. So I don't know if you follow Mark Andreessen. He's the A16Z
yep.
founder, super smart guy. He's been talking. He posted this article like 2 years ago about how AI was going to actually increase the number of jobs. It's going to increase the number of like how well people are paid, and anyway, I've seen a lot of data. I could show it to you, but I won't get into that. But for jobs like customer service is hiring like crazy. Radiologists, that this is one that Jensen Wong keeps bringing up. Radiologists should be the first to be automated because AI can do a way better job, and there's a shortage. And anyways, just super interesting. But I think we see Claude hiring writers, we see ChatGPT hiring writers and coders, and I think that it's actually there's a really bright outlook for people in creative positions like yourself and like myself. So just wanted to throw that out there too.
Yeah. Amen. I like that little positive note to end the pod.
Love it.
Well, upwards and what is it? Upwards. What's the I forget the saying. Never mind.
I don't know which one you're going for.
Yeah. Yeah, never mind. That's the
All good. Okay, peace.